In this video, I'm going to show you 3 things I did to turn my dream of becoming a race car driver into a reality, and how you can turn your dream, no matter how crazy it might seem, into a reality too. One of the most frustrating and tragic things can be having a lifelong dream that you just don't know how to realize. You and I know that it hurts to want something so bad, but not know how to start. In my last video, I talked about this, and how it can feel like an itch of the soul waiting to be scratched. This video is all about how I turned decades of dreaming into an action plan. And while your dream may not be to race cars, you can still apply this to any activity. So, after all these years of dreaming, you're finally committed to making it a reality. First of all, congratulations, that's a huge step. But where do you go from here? After I decided enough was enough and it was time to go racing, how did I begin? How did I transition from just a perpetual dream, always running on loop for decades, to a reality where I'm working at it every day? The first thing I did after I decided to pursue racing was to change my relationship with my thoughts. Let me explain what I mean by this. The reason you've been putting off your dream for all this time is because your thoughts are telling you why it's not a good idea. In your heart, you know you want to be doing it, but your mind is giving you a million reasons why not to do it. And really, this is just a silly defense mechanism of the ego, trying to protect itself from risk, from danger, from failure. These thoughts aren't going anywhere, at least not anytime soon. So rather than trying to get rid of them, which is an impossible task, you need to change your relationship to them. Up until now, I've completely bought into the stories my mind has told me. I'm too old for racing. I won't be good enough. I don't have enough money. I don't know where to start. I don't have a race car. These mental patterns have been so ingrained in my mind that my wife needed to give me a serious reality check to help me change my relationship with the thoughts. The doubts aren't going anywhere. In fact, the farther you get in your journey, the more the doubts will flood in. You need to be able to ignore these, because you've been giving into them all your life. Changing your relationship to the thoughts will help you see these doubts for what they are, unproductive thoughts, and let them float by while you're busy taking meaningful action. So now, while I'm not perfect, I remain calm and focused as the thoughts flood in. I recognize them as the old me, the things that used to hold me back. The thoughts are still there, but my relationship to them is different. Spend time practicing this. Know that at the beginning, it can feel strange. For me, it almost didn't feel real. To go from turning decades of dreaming into an action plan felt very strange. I could feel the resistance bubbling up inside of me. There wasn't a bone in my body that didn't feel uncomfortable about it. Think about any habit that you formed. To suddenly change it can be very difficult. But know that this discomfort is normal. It means you're growing. The second thing I did was create a timeline, which I then reverse engineered to create weekly goals and a daily practice. For me and my racing dream, I figured a 5-year timeline was good, long enough to make some serious progress, but not too short where it feels rushed and overwhelming. I then worked backwards from there and set out yearly goals and then daily tasks to get there. After doing this, I carved out 1 hour each morning before my workday starts to focus solely on making progress towards the goals. This ensures that no matter how I'm feeling, I'm going to show up and make progress. This is so important for a few reasons. 1, if you don't have the timeline, things can feel chaotic and extremely daunting. To go from never having raced cars to a professional racing driver is very intimidating. But not so much when I lay out a 5-year plan and then have rough goals for each year, and then work backwards until I have weekly tasks and a daily practice. You need to have patience and not expect things to happen overnight, but you still need to work every day at it. Remember, you could die tomorrow, or in a year. Use that knowing to your advantage. The beautiful thing about the daily practice is, on those days where you wake up with little motivation and no direction, you've already committed to your practice. You've already identified a weekly goal, and you've established your why. So all there really is to do is show up and remember the week's task. In fact, in the month that I've been taking this seriously, I'd say about 2 to 3 days per week I'm feeling either discouraged, lost, or in some negative state that doesn't serve me. But that's okay, because I fall back on my routine, and every single time it works out, because I end up a little bit farther along than where I started. The third and final thing I did, and I strongly recommend you do it too, is to enjoy yourself now. And while that sounds easy to brush aside, it's probably the most important reminder for us all as we pursue our dreams. There's a subtle danger in following your dreams, and it's that we often postpone our happiness until a later date. You can't put off enjoyment for some arbitrary finish line. This is the most important thing. It's perfectly fine to have a vision and be excited about your future self having or doing something that you're not able to do today. But don't make that a reason not to enjoy today, to not enjoy the process of getting there. Look at how many people get somewhere only to realize that they're still the same person with the same outlook on life, the same doubts, the same insecurities. Let this be a reminder for you and me to not postpone our happiness for when the dream is achieved. Nowadays, there's almost always something that you can be doing to make progress towards your dream. For example, although I can't get behind the wheel of a race car just yet, although stay tuned for something coming, I am on my way to K1 Speed, a go-kart track, where I can practice the many aspects of racing, whether it's getting comfortable behind the car, learning to adapt to different cars and my driving style, and of course, testing out my equipment. If your dream seems far away, I bet there's something you could be doing now that's both meaningful and enjoyable in your pursuits. As a final message, I'll leave you with this. The dream is never about the finish line, because there is no finish line. Don't forget that this moment is all you ever have. So just because you have a dream to become something doesn't mean you should treat the journey to becoming it any less important. The real purpose of following your dreams isn't to get somewhere or even to become someone, but rather to live right here, right now, in a way that feels authentic to you, in a way where you get excited to wake up and use your body and your mind in the fullest way possible. I don't want you or me to get to the goal and then say, so that's it, or what's next? I want you to feel good about how you're living, not for what you did. Guys, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed these 3 practical steps that I took to turn my dream into a reality, and I will see you on the next one.